A very good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Career Ownership Podcast. My name is Purav Bhatt. I am the founder of Career Ownership Hub. And if you are watching this live, first of all, let me thank you for being here at the launch episode of the Career Ownership Hub podcast. I am thrilled to have you join us today on this journey. And this journey, the Career Ownership Hub, is all about empowering the mid career professionals take control of their journey. I want you to be the complete owner of your journey, be the director of your journey, and not just a character in your journey. The whole purpose of the Career Ownership Hub is to help you get ownership, freedom, and be the right role model for the next generations. And for this, the one thing you should work on is your mindset. The second thing is taking risks. And the third is be ready to fail. We have some values at the Career Ownership Hub on which we are working, and today we are a community of more than 260 mid-career professionals. We have a process that we follow at the Career Ownership Hub, and this podcast is one of the major elements of the career ownership journey. The theme of this podcast is to get industry leaders share their experience, not only their journey, but also to help the mid-career professionals like you to understand how can you grow in your mid-career journey. What will help you get on a consistent growth path in your career journey. So in the first episode today, we have one of the industry leaders, Mr. Krishnakumar Ramanathan, a very good friend of mine. I have worked with him for a long time, and today it's my pleasure to welcome him on this first episode of the podcast. Mr. Krishna Kumar is the managing director and group CEO of SNS Power Switchgear Limited. With over 3 decades of experience in the industry, he has held pivotal roles at multinationals like Siemens, Crompton Greaves, etc., and significantly contributed to the success in various different capacities. From his tenure, pardon me, I'm reading it because he has a lot of achievements, so I need to read it from my notes. From his tenure as a vice president and country business unit head of large drive application to the leading strategy and business excellence for Asia Pacific and the Middle East, he has consistently driven innovations and excellence. His journey with Siemens saw him excel in roles such as CEO of Siemens Large Drives and Vice President of Sales in the energy sector, amongst others. His journey is marked by relentless pursuit of excellence, whether it was pioneering audit based selling concepts or enhancing the productivity and quality of automotive components. His strategic vision and leadership have been instrumental in shaping the business he has been a part of. Let me tell you, not only the business, he has been supporting, he has mentored a lot of young talents during his entire journey, and even today, he is doing that. In addition to his impressive professional accomplishments, he has authored over 100 articles on LinkedIn, sharing his expertise and adding immense value to his network. Today, he joins us to share his insights on various aspects of the professional journey, like continuous learning, taking ownership, taking risks, and adapting to the situations. So, please join me in welcoming Krishnakumar Ramanathan to the Career Ownership Podcast.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening to all viewers. Thank you, Purav, so much for having me here on your show. Really nice to meet you and the audience. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine, Krishna Kumar, and I really appreciate your efforts and your contribution towards not only the professionals but all the other aspects that you have been consistently doing, and the kind of roles that you have been handling, the designations you have been through, and with that you are ensuring to invest time for your passion and your support for the young generation. That is commendable. So
Thank you
before
so
I
much.
give it to you, I would tell all the people who are watching this, you know what? There is no shortage of time. It's all about planning your time, planning not only your days, but planning your hours. And then you can do whatever you want to achieve in your career journey. So Krishnakant, I will call you KK the way I have been calling you. So I hope that's okay. So can you start by
Perfect.
telling us about your professional journey and what inspired you to pursue all what you have done up till now?
Oh, thanks, Purav. And once again, good afternoon, good evening to everybody who's on the call. And like Purav said, I started working in 92. So it's been about 32 years now that I've started working. And initially, just out of college, you get a job through your campus placement. And then, I mean, you're just working, right? At that point of time, having a job and being on your own and earning your own money, having financial independence, I think that itself is a result. You all feel happy as a young professional that you are on your own. And honestly, I don't really think I had any great vision or plan at that stage of my life. It was more about learning and wanting to get better. Later on, I think as I moved through various stages of my life, I think roughly towards my early 30s, that is when the realization came in because I had a very good mentor and he nominated me for a management program. And I was bit shocked myself that why me? And then so he explained that certain things that he had seen me do and how I work. And he said, you do have some potential if you work on this and you can definitely get better. So this program is meant to help you get better. So I took that as a positive thing, and I think I got a lot out of that program. And slowly, I think things started emerging. I always wanted to get a little better than myself, and to that extent, I think I've been through roles starting from manufacturing to sales to marketing to engineering, and then to business development, back to sales, then heading a service business group of T&D, and then moving to the corporate office, working with key accounts and vertical markets, then moving back to head the sales for energy sector, and then moving on as the CEO of a Siemens company. And now in this role since the last 5 months approx as the MD and CEO of SNS Power. So I think it's been a journey that has taken me across different learning curves, different cities, different experiences. So I think it bit emerged also along the way, Purav. It is not a very organically, you can't say that this is what I thought at 20 years ago. It's not like that. But I think over a period of time, you do get a sense that if you work harder, if you work on yourself, and if you're able to deliver results and also build a future for the business yourself, then you get promoted and you obviously get higher responsibilities. It's more, it emerges after a period of time. And I'm very happy in this journey that, I am where I am. And like you said, it's this having conversations like these, it's basically an investment of time, but I enjoy this time. I enjoy talking to younger people. And I have mentored many colleagues in my roles across different cities and different functions. Many people I have mentored. And I think it gives me genuine pleasure that they are benefiting from it. And many of them remember me in a positive way that you were there at that point. So I think it's always paying it forward. You mentor so that somebody mentors somebody else, and the chain, passes on. So it's just that. And but thank you so much for having me on the show, and really happy to be here once again. Thanks.
Thank you so much, KK. So nice of you and the way you have explained your journey. You have been so humble, but I have seen the kind of leaps that you have taken in the journey. I'll come to this point after a while. But how has your commitment to learning? impacted your career?
I think that is everything. And to a simple point, I would say that if you get 1% better every day or every week, within a few years, you will be 5 times as best as your colleague. So it's a question of investing in yourself. Like we all look at mutual funds and SIPs to grow our corpus, and the investment in our personal self is also important. And that can take many shapes and forms. It can be a structured learning in a classroom, or it can be casual reading.
Mm.
But really, I think having that learning mindset is very, very important. What is called by Professor Carol Dweck as having a growth mindset. I really believe in that. Though I learned the term later, much later, I think it has always been a guiding force in my life. So in my late 30s, I started doing this course on having a postgraduate diploma in management of technology. And I think over 7 years, I did various modules. And finally, I received a postgraduate diploma in management of technology in my 30s, late 30s. Then in my late 40s, I again went into doing a part-time um, MTech program, and that was in software systems. And the motivation for that was that my then company was getting into a digital transformation mode. And I
Mm.
felt that having graduated as a mechanical engineer, I really wanted to understand these emerging technologies, like what exactly is data science, what is AI, what is cloud computing, what is cybersecurity. I needed to understand that from a proper perspective. I felt just reading like that is not good enough. So I went through that course. It was a grueling course for about 2 years. And so that is something I did. Apart from this, I think also my learning is also in terms of reading a lot of industry related magazines. So since we work predominantly in the electronics industry, reading anything related to those magazines, being part of my um, so reading all of those magazines, reading newspapers, reading economic articles that do come up, which are impacting our industry and so on. I think all of these things add to your learning. So it is very important to have this kind of a continuous learning mindset. I think even a few minutes a day, even 5 minutes a day is good enough to start. But I would really advise all the younger colleagues out there to take that initiative, invest in yourself, make it as an SIP into yourself, and soon you
Yes.
will see the corpus becoming really good.
No, in fact, the way you are, the example that you are giving, making it like a SIP. Okay. So if I look at the SIP, sometimes there are some years of the SIPs when you are not in the profits, right? And there are some years when you are making a profit, but then the term SIP stands for a gradual increase, which will then lead to a exponential growth. So I think this is how this continuous learning concept works, that you keep on adding something every day to your journey, and gradually it will lead to a transformation, right? What I have
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, what I have realized with this, with the current kind of a disruption, the trend going on, the way the disruptions are happening quickly, people are also expecting results very quickly when they are learning something new. So one thing which I would also like to tell all the professionals here, when you invest into learning, you have to have patience for the results. And the results come when they are least expected. But the one thing you should not stop is learning. So KK, this is very nice. And one point which you also mentioned is about classroom learning and casual learning or learning on the go. So that is also a very important element when you are in the already in the journey. So with all your conversations, with all your experiences, you should ensure that you have some key takeaways which you keep on implementing as you go further. Right.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you because why you can easily find time today with all the devices that you have. You can basically learn on the go, and I travel for my work a lot.
Yes.
And surprisingly, there's a lot of time available when you travel. You're in a taxi or sitting in the airport waiting for something. There's a lot of time, and although you're in the hotel room in the evenings, and a lot of time. I think it's just a question of investing the time. And more important is not just learning, but also trying to recollect what you learned. That reflection is very important. So, what did I learn? You don't need to remember what you learned, but at least you should understand it. Just note down a few points. This is what I would recommend. Whenever you're learning something, just note down a few points, and later day, just look back on those and see, okay, this is what I learned, and then see how what you are implementing that in your day-to-day life. So growth mindset is all about that, because when you do it, you learn a little bit more. You learn the nuances, and then the learning forever stays in your mind once you implement it. So yeah, this would be my points.
No, exactly. So before I go to the next question, the point you made about reflections, this is a key in learning, because unless you reflect on what you have been through, you will not be able to implement the learnings from the past, and you might end up making the same mistakes, or sometimes you end up into not mentioning what you have acquired, so you miss opportunities because you are not able to reflect. So when we begin the journey at the career ownership hub, we have one very important tool which is called the skills landscape, where I ask people to reflect on their entire journey and document all the skills that they have acquired in the classroom, but more importantly they have acquired on the go, so that you will have a huge inventory of skills which will open up more doors of opportunities for you. Otherwise, people play very small. I was one of them. I used to play with my certificates, that if I have certificates, then only I have skills. And I missed all the other skills that I actually acquired, and few of them I also mastered on the go. So when you reflect, you get to know all what you have in the years that you have invested in the professional journey. So thank you so much for bringing this point
Absolutely.
about reflections, KK. Yes, sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I should absolutely agree with you. Thanks.
Yes. And one thing, KK, about taking ownership. Okay. Uh, when I started my journey, I was always looking up to my manager, that what is my next step. So, what is your thought about this in terms of your progress and your journey? How you should take it forward? Is it your manager? Is it your management who decides your next step?
No, thanks. It's a very interesting question. In fact, I would say that in the early part of your career, it is probably your manager or sometimes even HR who define your career trajectory. Like if you're a graduate training engineer, then HR decides that okay, you will spend so many months here in this department, so many months in that department. You will be kind of rotated around multiple departments and all that. And maybe for the first time, when you from an engineer, you want to become a senior engineer or something, that really your boss is saying, okay, this guy is there and he's been working for 3 years or 4 years. And so those kind of time-based promotions are typically done in the early part of your career. But I think beyond that, it is really up to each one of us as professionals to take charge of our own journey. And in my life, in my career so far, I think this initiative has really helped me. So I always make a plan, a kind of a short-term plan and a kind of mid-term plan. Short-term meaning next 1 or 2 years, and mid-term meaning maybe 2, 3 years. And what I would like to do in terms of what kind of roles and what kind of positions I would like to work for. And once you define that, then it is important to have a conversation with your boss, or with your peer network or with a mentor, and then see this is what I have in mind. See, many people also make this mistake of keeping silent. In India, we believe a lot in karma. So we say that if we do our work and do it diligently, automatically the results will be blessed. But it doesn't always work out like that, because in an organization you are one of many people, and the larger the organization, the more the risk of getting lost in a crowd, So I think it is important that you stand out. So make a plan for yourself. I would say take a grip of your career, exactly what you want to go. But it is not enough to do that. That is only the starting point. After that, it is important to have a conversation, because when you have conversation with others, that helps you recalibrate. Maybe you are shooting for something which is not in your core strength at all. Or maybe you are aiming for something too fast or too slow. Maybe you need certain skills to get there. Maybe you need certain learning programs to get there. Maybe you need different job exposure to get there. So it's a question. But once you take charge of your journey, it's a little bit like saying one of our earlier bosses used to say, you have to first decide that you want to go to Delhi, as in it's a metaphor for going north. So once you decide that you want to get there, then the rest of the journey is a question of planning, which train you will take or flight you will take or bus you will take and where you will stop. And all of that can be worked out later. But it's a question of basically setting a direction for yourself and working with others, expressing yourself first. Don't keep it hidden to yourself. Talking to few others and getting their help, mentorship, and guidance on getting better to hit your targets, and reviewing this at some frequency, once in 3 months or so. Keep reviewing. This is a target I set for myself. This is what I was supposed to do to get to the target. Where am I? Am I on track? Am I falling short? This kind of review process is also important. And every 2 years or 3 years, recalibrate where you want to go with respect to your career, where you have progressed. It is very, very important, because today as a leader, as a manager, I would really appreciate it if an employee is having a clear idea that she wants to do this or she wants to do that, rather than leave it to me to figure out what she has to go or what she wants to do. I would look for clarity in a person. So I think that having the clarity comes only when you make your own career roadmap. So I would really encourage people to make their own career roadmap in their own format, in their own way. Take guidance, support from others, and work sincerely towards achieving those roadmaps. I think
Mm.
that really makes a big difference in these days.
As you say this, KK, okay, uh, you rightly said that what your manager told, and if your employee comes to you, if your team member comes to you with clarity, then I think that also gives you a direction to help him or her. That also motivates
Absolutely,
you to give the guidance, right?
absolutely, absolutely, yes.
And
Because
and yeah, go
it
ahead,
is
go ahead.
always, yeah, it is always said that you should give advice or guidance only when somebody asks, not volunteer it. So as a leader, as a manager, often when people come and ask, only you are also motivated or you think this is the right time, because the person is seeking. A seeker always gets the answer they want. So it's
Yes.
important that as an employee, you should start seeking.
Yes, yes. So if you ask questions, you get answers. And this is what I'll share one small incident from my journey. I still remember it, and this was one of the turning points for me. In the year 2016, I was traveling back from Singapore with my manager, with my boss, and coincidentally, we were on the seat adjacent to each other. Okay. And he happened to ask me, Puro, what is your next step? And I was thinking, and I was also smiling. I told myself, next step kya hota hai? What is that? It's going on. My journey is going on. So I asked him, what have you thought for me? Because you are my manager. And at that moment, he said something which actually opened my eyes. He said, it is your journey. It's not my journey. You decide what is your next step. I will tell you how can you reach there. I cannot tell you what is your next step. And please also try to understand, I have got more challenges than you might have in your journey. I am fighting bigger fights on different fronts. So, shall I think about myself or shall I think about you? And he was saying all this to being very transparent. And I really that was a moment when I realized that yes, the mindset that we have from the school days and we start as a fresher, that my boss decides my next step. In the mid career journey, it is extremely important that you now start changing your mindset. It's your journey. And specifically in the mid career, it's a phase where your responsibilities increase, where your priorities change. Then if things are changing, your approach should also change towards the career. This is what I learned from that one small conversation.
I fully resonate with that, Purav. Absolutely, yes.
Yes, KK. So KK, I would say, what I want to ask you is that uh, I have seen your journey very closely, at least online. Since COVID, you have been very active and very positively active on LinkedIn. I mean, that is one of the most popular platforms for professionals. There are other platforms, but when it is about the professional journey, LinkedIn is something which people use. And surprisingly and very happily, I have seen you very consistent on LinkedIn, adding a lot of value to your network. And I am sure you are building your professional network also. So, what is your take on? What would you advise, or what has been your experience when you started building your brand or making yourself visible or becoming an influencer?
So I think I was one of the earliest people to sign into LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn came sometime around 2010, something like that. So I remember opening an account then. But for a long while, I was just passive like many other people. I would just see what content was coming, and maybe the likes and all happened later only. All those features got added later. And then you keep liking or just. But after a period of time, I realized that if you first of all build a good profile on LinkedIn, and you are actually able to and follow the right people, you are able to get very good content. So then I started following actively what are the kind of content that are getting created. And I think sometime during the Corona pandemic, I think each one of us were locked in our houses for various periods of time during the COVID, and different trigger points. Some people became chefs, some people ran marathons inside their apartments and various things. And I started writing or blogging. I was already on LinkedIn for more than 10 years at that time, but I still thought it's a good time to start writing something. And I wrote firstly, I think I wrote from about work-life balance, working from home and the challenges of working from home, because in a manufacturing engineering industry like us, we really don't have a work from home kind of experience before that. So how it felt like with all the disruptions that are happening inside your house, around your house, and I think that just connected with a lot of people, and I got a lot of comments and feedback and a lot of encouragement from people. And then I thought, okay, if it's actually if people are liking it, encouraging it, maybe I can start writing at some more frequency. Then as I travel, whenever some thought or idea comes to my mind, I jot it down and then try to develop that over the weekend into a blog and then post it out. And yes, almost every week I post, and I have crossed 124 blogs so far on various topics related to management and leadership and learning, critical thinking abilities, and things like that. And I'm getting good traction. But honestly, the purpose is more like to kind of share my own experience with others, and if it can help even one person, then that is good enough, because there is no it's not a monetary thing. It is just an investment of time. There is no paywall or anything. But just so that you can share your own experiences, because it's not just me. I see so many other professionals, even very senior professionals, doing the same thing. So I just thought of emulating some of them and sharing my own experiences also in a way. So that's about it. I really don't think I'm an influencer, or I'm not aspiring to be that. My idea is only to share my experiences and hope that whatever I'm writing is very practical, easy to follow based on my own experience, because I'm not a theoretician. I cannot quote theories and all that. But wherever I've experienced, whatever I've done, I try to share that with other people. It has struck a chord somewhere. So I have many people who regularly follow and comment and all that. So that gives me the motivation. Sometimes when I don't have time or I miss it for a couple of weeks, or so somebody pings me, hey, what happened? Then I say, okay, I should write now. And it gets me back to, writing something. But it's been a really fulfilling journey. And I would even encourage everybody here on the call to focus on building up their profile, because, like Purav said, LinkedIn is the predominant professional networking platform. And today, almost everything happens on LinkedIn, right? If before, let's say, I go to meet somebody, they've already checked me out on LinkedIn, or I can also check, before I go to see a customer, what I like to read about them and what they have, what they likes and what are they thinking about and things like that. So this is one. Second is for HR, all kind of CVs. I think first are vetted on LinkedIn and to see who's the person and all of that. Everything is open online. People know who is in which position, who's got promoted, who's changing jobs, everything, who's done what certification, everything is on LinkedIn. So I think it's important to build an online profile. It's a hyper connected world and you need to project yourself. In some words, I would say be your own ambassador. I've written a small blog on this also. It's not like the earlier days, where you could just work and let your work talk for itself. Work doesn't talk. You only have to talk for yourself. So I think LinkedIn is a powerful tool for that, for liking, following people who are like-minded interests, sharing, commenting on articles, writing if you can, but otherwise also engaging very robustly with the people. So I think you're creating a presence yourself. You're showcasing your skills. But whatever you do it genuinely, not just to build up a profile or something like that. Don't reach out to random people and you message them this and that. But
Yes.
slowly and steadily build up your profile. I think that really helps over the long term. Apart from that, your profile also is getting built up when you stretch beyond your work. So for me, in my professional life, yeah, apart from my work in the company, I also volunteer at our industry association, which is the EMA,
Um,
Indian Electric and Electronics. So you get a lot of experience from the EMA handling. You learn to think from an industry perspective and not from a company perspective. Not profit and loss, but more like how is the industry positioned for next many years. You get to talk to government policymakers. So your learning really expands. And whenever you get opportunities to help other people, mentor other people, please do that. If you get an invitation to go and give a small talk somewhere, accept that, right? So all of these things I think add up to building your profile beyond your immediate scope of work. And this happens when you reach out, step out of your comfort zone, reach out into more areas, start trying to help other people, adding value to other people's lives. And that I think is how you really build a profile for yourself.
yes. Okay, a lot of things you have shared, and I will just summarize whatever you said. Starting from the first point, you said, Purav, I had my account on LinkedIn very early, but I was passive. My message to all the people who are watching this: don't be a consumer on LinkedIn. Be also a producer on LinkedIn. I have been following KK, and he has written more than 120 articles now, and all his articles are extremely insightful. So today, if you are not a producer on LinkedIn, you are missing a huge opportunity. But to become a producer, the first step you have to do is keep your profile up to date. KK, I have seen with majority of the people, they start connecting with a lot of industry experts, but what they miss is that they do not update their own profile. So all the listeners here, the second point KK made was today the HR, after looking at your resume, the next step they do before giving you an interview call is they go to your LinkedIn profile because they want to know more about you before giving you an interview call. So please update your LinkedIn profile and then start becoming a producer on LinkedIn. The third thing, if you are not writing, please engage on someone else's posts. People who you consider as your stakeholders. Add value, engage on their post so that you can stay visible on the platform as well as to the industry professionals. The fourth point he made was it is not a game of having more followers, it is a game of having the right followers or the right connections. So just don't get on LinkedIn and start sending connection requests. Don't create a crowd on LinkedIn as well. And the fifth point was take speaking engagements. This is possible if you are visible on LinkedIn, you will get a lot of speaking engagements. And believe me, this is something which will help you grow in your mid career journey because all the speaking engagements make you visible, help you cultivate good communication speaking skills, increase your confidence, and create an offline network as well. So LinkedIn, the online network, will help you build the offline network. The bottom line is that LinkedIn is mandatory for your growth and to build a brand, to become a thought leader, which will not only help you once, but it will help you through the remaining years of your professional journey. So please start consuming and producing on LinkedIn. Start engaging on LinkedIn and start building your network. Before I go to the next question, the last point he said was add value. So when you want to build a strong network, please be ready to help first and then seek help. Don't go on LinkedIn and your first comment should not be, I'm looking for a job. Can you give me a job? That is a wrong approach. Even if you are desperately looking for a job, don't ask for a job. Ask for guidance. Okay. So I would ask all of you at this moment, go to the profile Krishnakumar Ramanathan. Start following him. Not that I want to increase his followers, but the kind of articles he has been writing are all eye opening. So one of the good industry leaders to follow on LinkedIn is KK, and it comes from his experience. The best part is it comes from real life stories, whatever he's sharing. So KK, thank you so much. And now coming to one very important question. You have been into the power distribution, power transmission, power generation, the energy sector. So if I ask you today about the opportunities or the possible future opportunities in this sector, and what is your advice to the professionals who are looking to grow in this sector? So what is your take on that?
No, thanks. I think the power transmission sector and in general the energy sector in India, transmission and distribution as well, is I think doing extremely well. And there are two, three factors which are driving this growth. One is the sheer per capita requirement of electricity in India, which is still very low when compared to China and much lower when compared to the United States and or Europe. I think that is really going to, each one of us is consuming more energy. We have more devices at home, we have more air conditioners at home. There's one simple fact. The other thing is growth of our IT services industry, which is also relating to a mushrooming of data centers around the country. And today you have data centers which are in gigawatt scale. They are big, big consumers of energy. The third big driver is the green energy corridor. With all the renewable energy coming in, you're building green energy corridors to evacuate all the power. That requires dedicated transmission distribution. The fourth lever is a smart grid, because all this, the whole transmission grid is built on layers of very old equipment, because the typical transformer can work for 40 years, right? But how do you get all that changed sequentially and build a more resilient power grid? Because you need today a grid which is smart, which you can control remotely, which you can analyze remotely, and where you can take a lot of decisions in real time based on the performance of the grid. So the grid is also getting smarter. This is also creating a lot of opportunities in the transmission sector space. So at least for India, we see a robust growth in the energy sector, particularly transmission, but also distribution. Over the next 3 to 5 years, I think definitely the growth is there. And professionals who are looking to start a career here, I think it's a good sector to build your career in and to stay put for the next few years. This is what I would encourage.
Okay. You know what? I got a really different perspective when you answered this question, because I have always been into the energy sector throughout my professional journey. The way you explained that the consumption, the requirements, the demand is always increasing. And now with the data centers becoming one of the biggest consumer, this particular sector is going to grow. And with sustainability also coming in at a very large scale, uh, I think if you are already here, then it is a good place to be in and continue your growth journey. And this has been a stable sector throughout many years. Unlike if I look at the IT sector, there are peaks in the IT sector, but at the same time there are dips. So IT sector, or there are many such sectors where there are peaks and dips. But if I look at this energy sector as a whole, it has been consistently growing. Maybe the speed is less as compared to the other sectors, but the robust word that you use, there is a robust growth, and the demand is always going to stay ahead, right?
And I think also the other point I want to add is this sector requires people from different domains. So you need mechanical engineers, you need electrical engineers, you need electronics engineers, you need communication engineers, and you need IT as well because there's a lot
Yes,
of software that is getting added to the grid. So people from different domains can also make a career in the transmission and distribution space.
exactly. So this is open for all. You have to just start the journey or continue if you are here. It's open for all, and keep upskilling and keep on a continuous growth or learning path. Okay, okay. If I look at your journey, okay, you said 5 months you are in a new role. 5 months you are in a bigger responsibility. 5 months you are out from a multinational company, and you are in a relatively smaller company. It's growing, it's also growing. So nothing against the company. But after so many years, okay, when people are not ready to switch companies, people are not ready to switch profiles within the companies. I think you are taking, if I talk from my perspective, you are taking very big risks in the journey, and you have been changing profiles at periodic intervals. So why this journey? You have been in comfort zone, but you always step out of it faster, you take risks. So what would you like to share, and what is your message to all the people in the professional journey?
It's a good question. I think it's also a little bit personal, what each person wants. And for me personally, two things I will say. One is that risk is nothing but an opportunity in disguise. So all risks are covered in opportunities, and all opportunities are covered in risk. So there is nothing called a safe zone anymore because the world is changing so fast. Second is also for me personally, as a person, I like some change every now and then. Otherwise, I get very complacent. And when I'm in a new environment, that brings out the best in me as a person. So when you are forced to learn something at quick speed, that keeps me at my best. So both of these things are a combination. So even in my earlier organization, I switched multiple roles over my career of almost 27 years. So I more than 27 years. So I worked there for that longer time. I was not in a single department or BU or function. I kept switching every 3 4 years. And also this, I look at it as a similar change like that. And the challenge is that after working in a large multinational, to work in a small, medium scale organization, I think that it's very different. The challenges are very different. And one has to learn to apply oneself differently because you do not have a very large support system like you have in a multinational. You do not have the strength of a large corporate department to back you up for certain key things. So all of those things are there. On the other hand, your ability to take decisions is very fast. You can move ahead very fast. So it's always a balance of different things. And I took this role because I wanted to become more entrepreneurial in a sense in this phase of my career, and I'm quite enjoying it. And I hope that I will be continuing to make a difference here, like I did in my large company. In my large company.
Okay, I mean, thank you so much for this. I'm just looking at a few comments. So we have a comment from Mr. Lakshmi Narsimhan. I think he is your ex-colleague, and Tushar
Yes,
Kulkarni are commenting, and they are like, it is a refresher to us, and I completely agree with their comments. It is a refresher to me as well. Your insights are really impactful. Okay,
and this
Rajesh
is
is
my
telling
pleasure.
clarity.
My pleasure.
Yes,
either Tushar and TRL.
And Rajesh is telling clarity and roadmap play a big role in life. Thanks for sharing. Yes, clarity. And
Absolutely, Mahesh. Yeah.
Viral life loves the conversation. Thank you so much for all the listeners. You can put your questions also while we keep going on. We still have 15 more minutes. So please ask questions if you have any questions. I am sure you will get right answers from KK on your questions related to career journey. So please feel free to ask your questions while we take this forward. KK, when you are recruiting, okay, when you recruit people at the mid career or senior level, what do you look into? Or if today you are interviewing someone, what are the top three things that you would look for into that person?
So I think the top three things I would look for is the domain experience, which is very important because then that person can start as that person is already familiar with the domain, has worked in similar domains, and can start from day one. So domain experience is very, very important. Second is the kind of skills that they have, the hard skills they have in terms of the functions they have done, the roles they have played, the kind of experiences, certificates, etc., that they have accumulated along the way. That is also important. And the third is, I would say, the willpower, right? What is it? It's always a balance between skill and will. Assuming that you have few persons from the same domain with similar experience, say 10, 15 years, then it's always a balance of the skill and the will. And I always believe that skill can be taught, will is inherent. So I always choose a person with a higher willpower, and the person I always talk, and some of my ex-colleagues will be smiling. Fire in the belly is what I use. That some person who you can see during the interaction, that person has a desire to prove something. They have that fire in the belly to go that extra mile. The person has handled some problem, crisis in the past, has the experience of that, very resilient and has a fire to go. That always trumps the skill. So I always so balance of skill and will, but at the same time, I would always the skill being roughly equal. I would prefer the willpower for a candidate, especially in the mid to senior level position.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much. This was very, very, very important. The first point, domain expertise. Okay. So you would look for somebody with having some domain experience because in the mid career, you would not like to have people who you need to train. So you want people who can start contributing as soon as they step up. Right. The second thing is about hard skills. I would really not focus on too much on hard skills because you also said one very important point that skills are almost common when people are applying for a role because they have seen what the role requires. But what differentiates, and this is a message to all the people, please listen to this, what differentiates you from others at your same level are skills like willpower, resilience, and your ability to change, ability to adapt. So, if you are still believing that one more technical certificate will help you grow, let me tell you, it is not completely true. You must have and you must make your soft skills more visible and you must start cultivating working more on your soft skills to differentiate yourself from others. And if you are not able to differentiate yourself, then you will end up in the price wars like the red ocean strategy. You will always have to work on the salary that I am asking less and someone else is asking more, so I will get in first. If you want to increase your value by 2x, 3x, 4x, start differentiating yourself. Start building your personal brand. And KK, I will just share a few comments. We have Mr. Uday Sharma. I'm sure these people you have mentored or you have worked with them. Uday saying, thanks Pura for hosting this podcast. Feels great listening to industry veterans like KK.
Hi
Ratnadeep,
Uday, hi Vinil, nice to see you guys. Hi.
Ratnadeep says, what a start to the first podcast. Thank you so much, Ratnadeep. Wonderful to hear you both. And of course, listening and learning from KK sir always adds a value to my life.
Thanks, Ratan. Thanks, Ratan.
Akshan, great to hear these insights from KK.
Hey Akshan, thank you.
TRL, you have written 125 plus write-ups in LinkedIn. Can you inform us which one you would you liked it more and you want to say again to the team more focused?
So I think some of the articles which have gotten most traction. One was the article that I wrote about the Cobra effect, which is that it's a cause and effect. I mean, you start doing something, but it has a totally different result. And in management, it often happens that we try to do something and the intentions are right, but the way we do it is wrong. So I think that is one article which I would like to say once again. So all leaders and managers, please think through the actions you are doing. The Cobra effect, I will explain once again since TRL has asked. In British India, there were a lot of cobras in and around Delhi. So the British gave a reward of some 1 rupee or something for every dead cobra that people bought it. So there was a lot of success to the scheme. A lot of people started bringing in dead cobras, and there seemed to be a decline in the cobra population. The British were happy. But later on, what the British saw was that cobras are coming in every day, hundreds and hundreds of cobras are coming in. So how is that possible, right? Because if you're killing, then you do not have so many cobras left. It is actually increasing the number of cobras that are being bought in every day. And then they found that there are actually breeding farms of cobras. The Indians are very smart. They've started cobra breeding farms, and they're breeding cobras in their house, and then selling it to the British to earn that 1 rupee. So then the British got wind of the scheme, and then they did the second mistake. They stopped the scheme. Now, what did people do? All the cobras, they simply let it into the wild, into the streets of Delhi, making the situation even worse. So I think the cause and effect for all managers and leaders in modern organizations is to think through the course of your actions. What could go right? What could go wrong? How will different people interpret it? So I think that may slow down your decision making, but it will definitely make the decision more sustainable over the long term. So I'd written that about Cobra effect, and that got a good traction. So I would like to say that once again. The other one was I spoke about the elephant in the room, which is the truth in an organization that everybody knows, but nobody speaks. People don't speak because they don't want to upset the rhythm of the room. They don't want to rock the boat, and they keep quiet. Sometimes it is out of deference to authority that they don't want to challenge the boss or something, or they don't want to say that inconvenient thing in the middle of
Yes.
a discussion, saying that boss, this plan won't work. This is stupid. Nobody will say that. So I think we all have to learn to call out the elephants in the room also. Otherwise, the organization decision will not be very robust if you don't empower people to talk up. And more important, you should listen to what they say also. Not enough just to say that please speak. But also you should, as a leader, pay attention to what they are saying and respond to them and take into consideration what they are saying. So these are the two things I would say. And thanks, TRL, for that question.
So KK, we have one more question coming up from Krunal Brahmbhatt. But before I just say the question, two more comments for you from Tushar Pokrankar. Insightful podcast. Thank you so much, Tushar. And Nishant Sinha. Nishant Sinha says you can easily differentiate between a leader and a manager when you see KK on the screen.
Thanks,
So,
Nishant.
and again from Uday, your insights advise how one should navigate their future career. Okay, I'll come to that question, Uday, but first I'll take question from Krunal. KK, how you handle failures in your career?
So there are a lot of situations in your life where you have to handle failure, and it's important not to let it get to your head. In that sense, I would say it is similar to success. That don't be very exuberant when you have success. Likewise, don't be too depressed when you have got failure. Take everything in your stride. Be a little happy when you have success, but also maybe feel a little sad when you have failure. But no point in thinking it is the end of the world or thinking you've conquered the world if you've got success. It's all a pattern. Success and failure keep coming and going. So, recently there was this commencement address by Mr. Roger Federer at Dartmouth, where he gave the commencement address, and he made a very clear point that he's been such a world champion, having won more than 20 Grand Slams and all that. He said that if you look at the percentage of matches he has played with matches he has won, it's more than 80% matches he has won. But if you analyze it further, he has won only 54% of the points, which means the other person won 46% of the points. So he says it is important that you have to be just one or two more success than failure. That's all that you need. So ultimately, our career is like a zero-sum game. There is success and then there is failure to balance each other. You have to succeed little bit more time, maybe one or two extra times, then you fail. That's all. Every day you fail, every day you succeed. It is not one 10 standard result that everybody looks to see as success or failure. Every day, decisions that you take will succeed or will fail. Small things you learn, do it again next day. So it's a question of consistently taking slightly better decisions than you did earlier and winning maybe one extra time than lose. But every day there is success and failure. Don't think of it as one momentous event. That itself takes away the stress. And it's a daily occurrence, daily event. In our personal life also, we succeed and fail every day. There's nothing new to it. So take it as part of life, as a stride in our life. That's all.
Krunal, I hope you got the answer. My one key takeaway from this whole answer, KK, is that life is a zero sum game. You just need a few, the number of successes should be just a little more than the failures. Right? Thank you so much, KK. On this, I always say that if you are not failing, then you are playing the game too small. So you must fail and you must accept it. The way you said that you should not be so proud when you succeed and you should not be so depressed when you fail. Okay, awesome answer without, I mean, it was seamless and with very right examples. Thank you so much, KK. One question from Uday. Thanks, Runal. Glad that you liked it. Uday asks your insights, advice on how one should navigate their future career, switching jobs, especially when the present or last organization did not fuel your growth aspirations.
No, it's a good point, Uday, and a lot of us are probably facing similar situations or have faced similar situations in our life and career. And I would say that if we look at it, it does take two hands to clap. I think partly it is the fault is with the organization, but partly it is also with us, with me, with you, with others. So this is where I said, in the earlier question, where you take ownership for your own career and chart out your own career roadmap and journey. I think there you will have a slightly better chance of success. You can still fail; there is not foolproof, but you will have a slightly better chance of success. And in the event, I think today, especially if you're in a mid to senior position, I think you need to have a 1 to 1.5 year kind of time frame before you move jobs. So the 1 to 1.5 year time frame is for you to scan the opportunities in the market and talk to potential people and build up your role and experience in a way that you're going to be considered for a different role within the same industry in a higher position and things like that. So it's a lot of work. So I would say it's a 1 to 1.5 year kind of exercise. That is what you should plan for. And I think definitely it is doable. Ultimately, I think the human spirit, all of us look for better opportunities, and there is nothing wrong with that. And it is important to have this. First, I said, define your own roadmap. What is it that you want to do? Define that. Then talk within your existing organization, your manager, your mentor, and see if you are able to get that. It may work out, but there may be instances, like you said, Uday, where it didn't work out. If it doesn't work out, then plan for switching to a similar organization within the same or adjacent industry. But take a 1 to 1.5 year kind of time frame for that. Set your expectations clearly, and I'm sure once the clarity is there in the mind, it will also manifest in the conversations you have and how you reach out to people and things like that. So yeah, definitely yes. So don't worry at all today. I'm sure it's a temporary setback. I'm sure you will be able to move on to the job of your choice.
Yes. Thank you so much, KK. Very well answered. If you have clarity, you can manifest, and if you can manifest, the opportunities open up. There is no magic, but the clarity will give you the direction to take right actions. Okay. And you must not depend on a small pool of people or on an organization. Not that it is not the right thing, but there are a lot of opportunities within the organization and outside. You have to take actions in parallel because we don't know what will work and what will not work. So always keep taking actions in parallel, and I am sure things click at the right time. So you should just not stop taking actions. A few more questions. I'm not sure whether you would like to answer, KK, right now, because this is a company specific by uh, Nanthini. Nanthini, thank you so much for your question, but I leave it to KK to answer this. And the question is that I want to know what are your most proud moments of regarding SNS power, and how are you planning to add new regions? KK, I leave it up to you. You
Yeah,
can
no,
answer
sure,
this. Or
Nandini, and definitely, I'm very proud of the legacy of S&S, and it's one of the leading companies that was set up 50 years ago in 1975 from Chennai. And I am confident that together, you, me, and all the others in this organization, we can build this company to greater heights. And we have a lot of plans, some of which I shared in the strategy meeting that we had last weekend in Chennai. And you were there. So some of those plans you know, and not all of that we can disclose now. But definitely we have a strategic plan to grow our business. Like I said, in terms of products, in terms of processes, in terms of technology. I think there are a lot of levers, elements that we are adding. So definitely I'm confident that together we can grow this company. Nandini, thanks for the question.
thank you so much, KK. Nandini, I would just tell one thing. I don't know who you are or what level are you are, but you are with the right person. You are in the right hands, and just believe in whatever actions he take. If you look at all the comments which are coming up right now on the panel, if you are able to read the comments, just look at the comments and you can get a feel of who is your leader right now. A question from Sharmila. Sharmila says, thank you so much, Sharmila, for being here today. Thanks, Pura, for starting this wonderful podcast. I am following all the articles of KK, sir, on LinkedIn. KK, you have got a huge list of loyal followers. Okay. And the question is that how easy it is for management to accept the failure and still count on an individual, on the individual.
No, I think it's a question of track record, Sharmila, because when you have worked with a colleague for a number of years, and you've seen that she or he has always more or less delivered on the commitments, like it's a 55% success rate, 45% failure rate. On the balance is positive, and then you get more confidence to trust that person for new things. But also the mantra in management is trust but verify, trust but be around. Don't just leave it to the person to unlock the box, black box after 3 months to see whether it's success or a failure. Because between starting of a task and completion of the task, there are a few weeks or months depending on the task. In between, engage with the person, see how it is going, do that course correction. Often that itself makes the difference between success and failure. It's not the original idea, but it is how it was executed, how it was changed in between, little pivots that you did that finally ensured its success. Because you cannot anticipate everything when you start a task. There is always going to be new complexity that will come in, something unanticipated. So it's always important that as a leader, you also offer that kind of support to the colleagues, so that the task is seen through, and then you will see that there is a higher percentage of success than failure. But yes, always give persons a chance, and if you see that a person has failed, maybe once, maybe twice, don't just go by the result. Yeah, also look by what was the task that the person set out. Was the person genuinely capable of handling that task? Where the resources provided to that person? And what are the initiatives that person took? Right? What are the steps that they took? Did they really make a superhuman effort to get to the task? And based on all this, you can, I think, continue to have the confidence in the person, because you always have to reward efforts as well, not only the results. So it's a combination of both. Thanks,
Thank
Sharmila.
you so much. Thank you, KK. Sharmila, I would just add to what he said. And if you are asking a question, how easy it is for the management to accept the failure, it also depends on how the individual represents the result and the process he or she has followed. So the onus is also on the individual to convince the management that the process was followed right, all the intentions were right, all the efforts were done right, and then this is a failure. And at the same time, the management, it is equal responsibility of the management to look at the process or the entire event transparently without having preconceived judgments about that individual. And the first point KK said is about the track record of the individual. Most important is the track record. Okay. And like this, uh, I think the management must give a chance, right?
Absolutely.
KK, one more. So thanks, Nantini. Thanks for your comments. Shakil is here and he says feeling inspired and empowered while listening to KK sir.
Thanks, Shakil.
Okay, okay, I think we all have really the same opinion. And when all of many people have the same opinion, then you deserve it. What wherever you are and whatever you have done till now, you really deserve it. And I see the leader. It's not me saying it, it's not only me saying it, but I see all the comments and I have seen the journey since we connected. It has been around 7, 8 years that we have been in touch, right? So, KK, I would just before I end this, what is your advice to the professionals and your closing thoughts on this entire journey of mid-career ownership?
Yeah, so I think believe in yourself and put in the hard work. I think your hard work is the polish that you give to your skills and other things. So believe in yourself and put in the hard work, and I think definitely, I mean, you can achieve all your aspirations. Wish each and every one of you all the best, and do stay in touch through LinkedIn and through other forums. Do stay in touch.
Thank you, KK. Thank you so much to all the listeners here. Thank you for being here. This is also inspiring for Career Ownership Hub for me as well. So, KK, thank you so much for joining us today and
Thank
sharing
you.
your great insights with real life stories.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
for all the listeners for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe to the Career Ownership Hub podcast. We will come, as of now, we are going to come alternate Saturdays with great leaders like KK. I would like to have KK once again in future with some more insights on this. And take charge of your career. It is your responsibility. Own your career. Be a director in your journey, not just a character in your journey. Take risks.
Also,
Yeah, KK,
Guru,
go
from
ahead.
my side, thank you so much for the opportunity, and also best wishes to you and all the people that you are helping in their career transition at Founder Career Ownership Hub. And I've also been following your work, and it's really great and heartwarming to see how many people have written back that they have benefited from your programs and all that. So sincerely wish you the best of success to you and to all the people that are engaging with you. Sincerely wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, KK, and thank you so much, everyone. So we are signing out. I'll be back on Saturday after next with an amazing industry leader for all of you. So keep watching this space and keep following KK's articles as well as whatever I write. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye bye.